Panthers fans, you might be getting the news that you've been waiting for over a decade. Yeah, talking about this guy who has terrorized Carolina since 2014. We're going to break down the latest news on Mike Evans and other free agent rumors at the wide receiver position on today's edition of Panthers Today by Chat Sports. But before we do, make sure you get down below and hit that thumbs up icon if you want to continue seeing free Panthers content on your feed all offseason long. All you guys got to do is hit that like button. YouTube will put it in your algorithm. And on today's show, can we beat our record for the most likes that we've gotten on a video in channel history? That number is 567. I know it's a big one, but I know the Panther fans are real ones. Go down below, hit that like button, see if we can break a record on the show today. All right, so in terms of the Panthers signing Mike Evans, I'm not so sure. That would definitely kill two birds with one stone, him getting out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then joining Carolina in division to, help get some of that lick back for what Mike Evans has done to us over the past 10 years. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but one of those things could be true. That's Mike Evans leaving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kimberly A. Martin of ESPN reported the following. Wide receiver Mike Evans will return in 2026. His agents, Deryk Gilmore and Darren Jones, tell me the future Hall of Famer will play this upcoming season and will explore his free agency options. One of the league's most consistent playmakers will be back, but we'll see if it will be with the Bucs. Okay, so let's break this down, because by the way that sounds, it doesn't seem like he's going to go out there and take some hometown discount, a less than $10 million deal, just to finish out the rest of his career in Tampa Bay. That tells me that Mike Evans is seriously testing the waters. He's going to look at who's interested in his services, and I believe that there's going to be more than a few, and he's going to decide based on what type of contract and what type of situation that he ends up getting here. SpotRack currently has him projected at around a 2-year, $26.6 million deal, so $13 million a season. It doesn't seem too rich for a guy like Mike Evans, who is a perennial 1,000-yard, every season type of guy, but he's coming off a big-time injury this past season where it limited him to just 8 games, and look, he just wasn't the guy that he had been in seasons prior, even when he really was on the football field this past season. And in 2024, he just got over that 1,000-yard mark. In 2023 and 2022, though, he was still that Mike Evans that was one of the better players in all of football. That 1,000 yards that he got in 2024, though, was in 14 games. I mean, we've seen Mike Evans year in and year out kind of deal with these, hamstring things. He'll miss a week here, 2 weeks there, and all that type of stuff. So he is a guy who gets banged up throughout his career. And now that he's past the age of 30, I think he's 32 years old. So, wide receivers past the age of 30 don't typically get much better than where they were previously. And now with these injuries, we're seeing a potential pay decrease for Mike Evans here on the open market. Will it be with Tampa Bay, though? It's still a possibility. Jordan Schultz saying, when he announced the news here, that where that will be is up in the air as he's an impending free agent. But I thought this is the important part. But Evans' heart has always been in Tampa. So we might, that's why I entitled this video, might get the news that we've finally been waiting for, because there's a good chance that he goes back to Tampa. This is a lifer. This is a Buck for life. And I even think that if he goes to somewhere else for the back half, the tail end of his career here, he'll still be retired jersey with Tampa Bay and all that stuff, like Bucs legend, Bucs Ring of Honor, all that good stuff. But there is a novelty, there is a uniqueness to staying with one team your entire career here. He's already won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, so the only thing I could see is he wants to go out there and win another one. He wants to go out there and cement his Hall of Fame resume. And at the end of the day, as it looks right now, you're probably not going to win another Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Baker's good. The team's got good players, but they got really, really hurt last year. The defense wasn't all that good. They just don't have the level of roster and talent that they had when they won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady 5 years ago. It's just the reality of the situation. Now, does that mean he won't go back? No, but it just feels like with all the messaging that's going on right now, Mike Evans is going to be testing the waters and probably will land somewhere else if that's what he wants to do, compete. Now, like I said, there's going to absolutely be a ton of suitors for Mike Evans here, Super Bowl contenders across the board, ones that need wide receivers. The funny thing is, a lot of these perennial contenders around the league, they are pretty razor thin at the wide receiver position. Some of the teams with the best quarterback play are the teams that are in the most need of weaponry. That includes the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look at these 3 receiver rooms here, three of the best teams in the AFC over the past 5 years, their receiver rooms are not too impressive. The Bills specifically is bad. The Chiefs is a little bit worse than I think we all anticipated. Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice not being the players that we thought they were. And Baltimore is like, they got Zay Flowers. What else do they have after that? The Houston Texans, they are pretty plentiful in the wide receiver room, but man, C.J. Stroud needs as much help as he can get down there. I'm sure they wouldn't mind adding another weapon. And then San Francisco, they're pretty wide receiver depleted as well. Also, Jauan Jennings for them is an impending unrestricted free agent too. So according to Bleacher Report, these are some Mike Evans landing spots here. Doesn't have the Carolina Panthers on there, so quickly we'll talk about that real quick. Look at the teams that were on that list, and look at the Carolina Panthers. I get it. We all want to build upon what the Panthers did in 2025, getting to the playoffs, competing with the Rams, beating the Rams in the regular season, and really, you could say overachieving. But Mike Evans is probably looking for a spot that gives him a little bit higher of a floor, a little bit, like a guaranteed double-digit wins. I don't know if anybody in the Panthers fans community can go out there and say Carolina's guaranteed to get 10 wins next season. A Buffalo, a Kansas City, a Baltimore, all three of those teams are probably looking like the 10-win minimum mark for next season. Expect to bounce back from KC. Expect to bounce back from Baltimore. So I'm not so sure he's going to be willing to go to Carolina. He's battled them a ton. He's given them the work and the business for the past decade, and he probably doesn't like the Carolina Panthers all that much considering he's been a Buc his entire career. So I don't see that being too much the case, but I do see Mike Evans leaving Tampa Bay this offseason, which would be fantastic news for the Carolina Panthers in this division. With that being said, where will Mike Evans sign in free agency? Unrestricted, looking like he's going to get about $10 to $15 million on this new deal. 2 years, short term, older guy, but a Hall of Fame level talent. Where will he sign in free agency? Comment down below what you guys think. All right, now let's get into some more rumors surrounding the free agency market at the wide receiver position, because although Mike Evans probably isn't too realistic of a candidate to sign with Carolina, I do think the Panthers could be players in the rest of the free agency market at this spot. And we just alluded to him, actually. What about Jauan Jennings? We haven't discussed him too much as a serious target on the channel here so far, but I was just reading about, the interwebs and all that good stuff, and Jeremy Fowler, one of the ESPN top insiders of the NFL, said the Carolina Panthers are the best fit for Jauan Jennings here, saying Jennings can use his 6'3", 212-pound frame and route running to make himself available to quarterback Bryce Young, especially in critical down and distance situations. Plus, with Jennings joining Ted McMillan and Jalen Coker, the Panthers would have a versatile receiving group that can work every level of the field. Jauan Jennings is one of the more underrated receivers in this league. He can work well in the underneath routes, works well in the middle of the field. Nice job, with body control and catchability on the sidelines. The intermediate stuff is good. I don't think he's great at anything, but I think Jauan Jennings is a guy who's just good at everything on the football field. I think that's kind of what the Panthers should be prioritizing here. They have their wide receiver one in Ted McMillan. Jalen Coker looks like he's going to pay well above his UDFA pay grade over the next few seasons. Hopefully they give him a nice extension here. But I think adding another weapon should be a priority, must be a priority for the Carolina Panthers, considering Bryce Young isn't a guy who elevates talent around him, if you ask me. He's a guy who needs talent around him. And I think that putting as much around him in that wide receiver room could do no wrong for the Carolina Panthers. So why not a guy like Jauan Jennings, a guy who's balled out in the Super Bowl? I mean, wasn't this guy about to be Super Bowl MVP like 2 years ago? It was absolutely insane. I wonder if they would have given it to him if San Francisco ended up closing the job against KC. But I really think that he belongs in a situation where he can get a more consistent role in the offense. These numbers are odd to me. 2023, 2024, or 2023, 2022, he just wasn't getting that involved in this San Fran offense. They had a lot of guys back then. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk was still playing football. But now, 2024, 2025, he's kind of taking a little bit more of a step. 6 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. He doesn't drop the ball too often. He was nearly at 1,000 yards in 2024. He's a good football player, and he's pretty available for the most part too. Now, the fact that all those things are true would make it pretty difficult to sign, right? SpotRack has him projected out a 3-year, $67 million deal. That's $22.5 million a season. I don't know about that guy. So 22.5 gauge, 22.5 for Jauan Jennings. That seems a little rich for me. I'm not going to lie. But look, it's the wide receiver position. It's a premium spot, and those guys get paid nowadays. We'll see. I don't know if I would pay Jauan Jennings $22 million. Maybe SpotRack has this one a little bit off, if you ask me. Romeo Doubs, that's a name I would target for sure in free agency here. And per The Athletic, the Packers beat reporter just went out there and said Romeo Doubs is, quote, as good as gone in free agency this offseason. So, Panthers, time to pounce. Romeo Doubs is a really good player, man. Another guy who I think just deserves more of a bigger opportunity. It's kind of been a similar ordeal in Green Bay than it was in San Francisco. Kind of an everybody eats type of mantra there. And guys in that wide receiver room getting hurt left and right. One day you're at the top of the depth chart. Next day you're 4 guys back. Like that wasn't always the case with Romeo Doubs. He was sometimes the guy that was getting hurt in some of the situations. In 2024 and 2023, he's missed some time, but nothing too much. It's a lot of minor dinks and dunks for Romeo Doubs here. And he's been a guy who I just think could do more. I think he could be nearly 1,000 yards in this Panthers offense. And look, it would just give you a complete wide receiver room here. In terms of Ted McMillan being your number 1, I would argue Coker is as good of a number 3 as it gets in the league. And then Romeo Doubs is a very solid number 2 wide receiver there on the boundary. It would also allow you to play Ted McMillan more in the slot, get him moving around, get him in motion pre-snap and work in the middle of the field on these underneath routes to have him work with the ball in his hands because he's a tough guy to bring down. So it would just bring more versatility and another element to this Carolina Panthers offense. Plus, he's a lot more cost effective than Jauan Jennings here for $22 million. Yeah, how about half of that for what Romeo Doubs is going to make on a per year basis? 4 years, $48 million. Sign me up every single day of the week if that's what's going to be for Romeo Doubs. He's the guy who deserves a bigger shot. I think he's shown just as much, if you ask me, as Jauan Jennings, and he's a fraction of the price per the people who make these numbers. So I'd be very willing to sign either one of these guys. The Panthers are going to have money to do it. But what's the better investment for you? Understand that Jauan Jennings, according to the people that have big brains out there, is going to make more money. So pick one to sign for the Carolina Panthers. If it's Jauan Jennings, type of JJ. If it's Romeo Doubs, type in RD. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section as we wrap up today's show. That will do it. On today's video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. More Panthers news and rumors are coming your way. The league year is starting. We got franchise tags coming up, the combine, NFL free agencies, all very, very soon. So keep us tapped in, subscribe, turn those noties on. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, keep pounding.